Hey everybody, it's Deanna Fenton here, and I want to welcome you to this week's episode of Simple Steps to Online Success. Well, today we're going to talk about how you can connect your Kajabi site to over 2,000 other apps for a variety of different purposes. We do have the option in Kajabi to use what is called the third-party integration. Now, what happens if you're using another product that is not one of these that already have an existing connection? Well, that is where Zapier comes in. And let me just start by talking about what Zapier is and sort of how they work. So what Zapier does is they've sort of created a master connection. And they're like an intermediary between Kajabi and all these other tools that maybe they might not have wanted to create an existing API with Kajabi, or it didn't fit their business plan. There could be any number of reasons why they don't do it. But what Zapier does is they develop a connection with a tool, and they develop a connection with Kajabi. And by using Zapier as that intermediary, you can pass information between two other apps that normally wouldn't do it. And some of the basic ones, so I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of possible connections there are with Zapier, but for Kajabi specifically, there's about 2,000. And that just means you could go through Zapier and you might get some great ideas if you simply go to, and all I did was Google Kajabi integrations with Zapier. And it shows me, actually it's interesting. Oh yeah, it says connect to 2,000 plus apps. And it gave me examples of several of them. Now, some of them are kind of weird, because we already know that Kajabi does have a native integration with MailChimp. One that's really interesting that a lot of people have looked at is a credible certificate. So one of the things that many people, depending on the type of course that you have, is certificates of completion when somebody has gone through a course. Well, you can do that by using a Zap. And I'm going to show you, and actually I think that's probably a good way to go. So there are two key terms when you're using Zapier to connect Kajabi to another app. The first thing is the trigger. In other words, what has to happen to initiate a connection? So for example, in this case, the trigger is any one of these things in Kajabi. So you could have the trigger be an assessment. So let's just say, for example, you create an assessment, somebody takes your course, they have to take the assessment. Once they complete the assessment with a passing grade, then that is your trigger to have something happen on this end with a credible. In this case, it would be create a credential. So you can have a template in a credible, and you set that up where it's going to pass information to create that credential. If we look at other triggers, a new form submission, a purchase, a tag added, or a tag removed. So it could simply be that when the person takes the assessment or they simply finish the course, you can set an automation to add a tag, and that is the trigger that sets in motion an action. So that's just a super basic explanation. You can see here, they sum up all of the different triggers, and then they're summing up the corresponding action that would happen.